Your perspective of Trump's reaction post-debate in just these past few days.
Yeah, I mean, he did exactly what we thought he would do, which is just kind of lean into what President Biden's, performance was like. But he really didn't need to do much there, right? Because people, Democrats, media were already talking about that. And then he got his own good news, as you mentioned. And so he's seen President Biden have a bad few days, and he's seen himself have a good few days. I mean, he's really leaning into a couple things with his legal cases. One, he's always said he enjoyed some immunity, and the Supreme Court said they agreed. And he's also wanted to delay. That has been his tactic, and he's able to do that now. So he really did score a couple of victories, as you mentioned, and he's going into this, holiday weekend pretty well.
Lee, I heard Anita mention lean in a couple times. And I think my question, you're no stranger to strategy, right? And I was anticipating a more aggressive response. Yes, we're seeing Trump social, and if you disagree, let me know. I was anticipating him to be more intense in his criticism of Biden. I've seen it on social media a few times. Would you say he's being restrained, or is that just my interpretation?
I would say to a certain extent he's being restrained. I think he's saying, he's saying that Joe Biden can actually communicate what he wants him to communicate better than he can himself. And so what we're seeing on his social media and what he's putting out there is a lot of retweets of key moments in the debate that made people question how Joe Biden was performing. I think, there's been a fair number of memes and all of that. So he's letting Joe Biden speak for himself right now. And what Joe Biden's saying to the American people isn't allaying any fears. And so I don't think Donald Trump does have to say much in this moment. And I think he should use this moment to start preparing for a pivot just in case Joe Biden does step out, because there is a chance. And we're seeing some polling that suggests it might not be as easy for Donald Trump should Joe Biden step away as we once thought.
Well, and I think that really leads me to my next question, Anita, if there is a pivot, because the narrative that we're seeing now from the White House is stay the course. We're going to get him out there more. As I've mentioned, you've witnessed a lot of campaigns. Do you think that narrative is going to continue to work? Could we see a pivot, maybe even in the next couple of weeks?
Well, obviously, President Biden needs to sort of figure out what he wants to do, right? He's got a whole plan that he needs to make on television, talking to the public. President Biden now is going to be focused on the Republican convention, which is coming up soon. We thought he was going to be sentenced before that, and now that's not happening. So he's got some time here to play with, really. He's able to go out and campaign as he wants to. We just didn't know what the sentencing would look like, so we didn't know how he would be constrained. He is able now to have his rallies that he wants to have, to, go into this convention feeling a little bit better than he might have. And to do the summer that he expected, we will have some hearings, there will be hearings, but he really has the freedom now to have the next few months to really campaign. And I think you'll see him do that and make a plan for the next several months.
All right, Lee, on that note, if we do anticipate him to be campaigning, I want to put up a couple numbers for you. These are from USA Today. It says Democrats looking to replace Biden right around 41%. And if you look at that next to the GOP polling, that's right around 14%. And I think as a candidate, you don't want any percent, right? But 14 is better than 41. Going over the next couple months, I'm sort of asking the same question as I did with Anita. I mean, is this the right path forward?
It's a really, really fair question. I think most American people are asking it right now. I saw another poll today that suggested that 75% of Democrats believe that someone other than Joe Biden can defeat Donald Trump. So Biden's main argument about staying in, which is he is the one that can do it, isn't passing muster with his supporters. And I think it's going to be really, really telling how the next 2 days play out, because he has been trying to turn the page. He did the event in North Carolina the day after the debate. I think he hoped that look, I'm not a young man message was going to work. I think he hoped going out, doing a fundraiser over the weekend was going to work. It did not allow him to turn the page. No one is leaving this narrative behind. Not his supporters, not his enemies, no one. Everyone is really wondering what what is going on. The questions being asked over and over again, who's really running the White House? And he hasn't given us what we need as an American people to feel confident that he's able to do it. So saying nothing, this isn't about a diagnosis. People have really, really valid questions, really important concerns, and he needs to be out there.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.